us on Facebook at Daunta A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Daunta Long. Follow us on YouTube at Daunta A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to LongTalk.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to LongTalk once again this Tuesday night. Another episode of a wonderful dialogue that you and I will have on this evening. Meaningful conversation that will have a positive impact in your life and help you throughout the course of this week. And I am so grateful for yet another opportunity. We have another week, another opportunity, and another session that we can have a meaningful dialogue known as a long talk. And as always, I'm grateful and I appreciate you taking the time to tune in and to watch this long talk conversation. And so please, if you don't mind, I want you to connect with us. If this is your very first time watching, please, ma'am, please, sir, go ahead and like us. Whether you're on Facebook, please hit that like button, hit that share button. If you must, go ahead. Also, I encourage you, start a watch party so that this information tonight can travel to the necessary persons that need to hear it. So if you're on Facebook, like and share. If you're on Instagram, please follow as we continue. Each time that we get an opportunity, we take to Instagram to make sure that we provide the meaningful news and updates that are going on in our community. Also on Twitter, we're tweeting constant updates, and so stay engaged with us. And then lastly, on YouTube, if you will, many that are watching tonight on YouTube, we're always grateful for our YouTube audience. We're almost at that milestone, only about 15 persons away from that 100 person marker for following us on YouTube, or subscribing to us rather on YouTube. So please, if you don't mind, please subscribe and also hit that notification bell so that you can continue to be updated each time Long Talk is on the air. So if you're on YouTube, please again hit that notification bell so that you can stay engaged with Long Talk. All right. Listen, as I want to keep you mindful, I want you to know that next week, it is National Voter Registration Day. National Voter Registration Day. And I'm asking everybody, family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, everybody, please, if you know somebody who is not registered, do your meaningful part to assist them. Yeah, that's right. Take responsibility during this election cycle. I'm talking to you. I need you that are watching me, sir. I'm talking to you, bruh. Sis, my dear sister, queen, I'm talking to you. Please assist your family member, assist your neighbor, assist your coworker, somebody that you know that is not registered to vote. There's a big initiative, there's a big drive that on Tuesday, the 22nd, that you and I will engage in getting as many people engaged and actively registered to vote. All right, we want to do that Tuesday the 22nd, all day long. We're going to be registering people, and you can do your very best to lead them to the website or lead them to a polling station, or however you do the research. You find out the most convenient and the most effective way that you can assist somebody in getting to the poll to get registered to vote. All right. And so I want to let you know that. And then lastly, the voter registration deadline is Monday, October the 5th. Monday, October the 5th is the very last day that any United States citizen can register to vote. So we only have a few weeks, family. We only have a few weeks, and we certainly want to get as many people, and I mean it, as many people actively engaged to help us in this election, upcoming election, whether that's on the local, the county, the state, and the national election. We know that this is a national presidential election, so we need to come out. We need to let our voices be heard in the ballot box. So please do all you can, family. I want to thank you in advance and appreciate you, because I know you're going to do your part to get as many people registered. All right? Well, tonight is a meaningful dialogue. Tonight we're covering a very significant topic as we continue in our dialogue of handling life during the time of crisis. And tonight we want to talk about insurance. We want to talk about making sure you and I and our family and our friends are properly insured. And I am so happy that tonight our special guest is a young lady who has been a community leader in helping so many become properly insured. And let me give you a personal testimony. A little over a year ago, it was that my insurance, my personal auto and homeowners insurance, began to skyrocket. And a friend told me about this young lady, and she took countless amounts of hours. I didn't say minutes, I said hours, to assist me with every single question, every nuance of questioning. People that know me know that I don't just host LongTalk to talk a long time, but even when I ask questions, they'll tell you I'll ask 1,000 questions. But this young lady sat there and listened to all 1,000 of my questions. And I thought that it would be a great opportunity for her to come on the show tonight. She assists many with their homeowners, with their auto. She also helps small businesses. She helps everybody. And tonight she's here with us. LongTalk audience, would you help me welcome the wonderful Miss Kai Wilson? Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us tonight.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking.
Oh, my goodness. Boy, you are a busy woman, and you have taken the time just to come on and talk with us. And Kai Wilson, if you don't mind, would you just take a moment and just tell our listening audience exactly who you are, if you don't mind?
Sure. Well, thank you for that intro, first of all. I don't remember you being such a difficult customer. I don't, that's not my recollection at all, but I was happy to help you. Sure. I'm Kai Wilson. I have been a licensed insurance agent for 20 years. Come November, it will be 20 years for me. So I've worked in the industry for a while. I've been associated with one company the entire time. So 20 years with American Family Insurance. We primarily do personal lines insurance, so life and health and property and commercial insurance. Years ago, we did health and some other lines, but that's our primary lines that we cover now, personal lines.
Wow. And so you've been in the industry for very close to 20 years.
Yes.
So it's fair to say you're not the new kid on the block.
No, not anymore.
You didn't get in this business to make a few extra dollars during the crisis.
No, not at all.
Your second job?
No.
Okay.
It's been my primary job.
This is your main job. This is what you do for a living. This is your pride and joy. This is what you have gained quite a bit of attention and notoriety in our community for being the individual that helps the uninsured and helps those that are underinsured get to a place where they are properly insured, right?
Exactly.
How does that make you feel every time you are able to successfully help somebody?
The initial sale typically is about price. Most people call about price. That's the initial call.
Sure.
My goal is to get people to understand I am price sensitive. Of course, I'm value sensitive. I won't say I'm price sensitive. I'm value sensitive. So my initial goal is to always get people to understand, what are you paying for? Mm-hmm. Some things are good value, some things are bad value. So some things are good priced and some things are poorly priced.
Sure.
But once I can get people to understand the value, then it's a better discussion. It's a better conversation. Are you paying too much for what you're receiving? Are you paying just a little bit, but you have a lot of gaps? Because then there's another conversation I have to have, and that's when the claim happens and what's covered and what was not covered. And that's when emotions are very high. People are very upset. That's when I have very long discussions. That's when the long talks happen. So, so, it's something I enjoy doing. I'm kind of used to it now. I've had about every scenario you can imagine has happened at this point. So I'm able to just maintain my balance.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I wanted to bring you on tonight just to really help us gain a better understanding. A lot of us believe that we have a good understanding on insurance, but like you said moments ago, it's not until we see gaps or not until we realize that we did not understand in totality what it was that we read that we then find ourselves going, wow, what actually happened to us, right?
Exactly.
So, first thing I want to delve into, if you don't mind, if I can ask you this question, Kai. Do credit scores affect premiums? Do credit scores affect premiums?
So kind of yes and no, and that varies by company. So let me say every insurance company has a different set of underwriting guidelines.
Okay.
Some companies, at this point, almost all companies in America use some form of credit. So it was a slow progression, but pretty much I think all major companies definitely use it. It does affect your credit, but not the way people think. Insurance is a soft pull. So if anybody who works in the credit industry, you have hard pulls and you have soft pulls. Hard pulls are when companies actually receive your credit score, the number, they see all the details, and you'll lose a couple points when they do this. Insurance companies do what we call a soft pull. So they get limited information. We don't get scores. I can't give you a copy of your report, but they do a soft pull. Now, full disclosure, again, I don't see anything, and you can't necessarily, we don't decline people on credit because it's a soft pull. It's not a accept or decline. It is where you will fall on a spectrum sometimes of a rating, but it's not a you can come with us or you can't come with us.
So it's not a matter of eligibility is what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly.
But is it a issue of pricing?
Yes. Yes. We have price groupings, so it will push you into a group.
Okay. I know we've had previous credit analysts talk about that, but I wanted to take this opportunity. Those credit analysts have been on this show, and they've all talked about making sure that you have good credit so that you can get the best premium pricing. And I did want to clear up that piece about will bad credit totally disqualify you from getting insurance? You're saying that it won't disqualify you.
No, it will not disqualify you. It is one
will
of
perhaps place you in a different.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's we have a lot of variables. There are a lot of factors. So credit is not a disqualifying factor.
Okay. I want to ask you this. We'll start in this arena first. In your line of work, what are the four major divisions of insurance?
So the ones I sell most often, we have lots of, so the four major ones are auto insurance. That's required for you to drive a car on the street.
Say that again.
Auto insurance.
You said that's required what?
To drive on the street.
Says who?
Says every state in America at this point. There were a couple states where it was not required, and I believe those have changed over as well. I know Wisconsin was one for years.
Okay.
But I believe all states now require you to carry a liability insurance policy. Again, the second most popular would be property insurance or homeowners. So if you have a house, especially if it's financed, if you have a mortgage, you will be required to have homeowners insurance.
Okay.
If you are not financing a home, it's your option. If you are financing a home, the bank will force you to have it. Next is business insurance, business owners. Commercial insurance, there's lots of arms depending on what you do. You have liability, you have, there's bonds, you have all kinds of segments of commercial insurance, but it's something you should have. You aren't necessarily always forced to have commercial insurance. You can register with the state sometimes. You don't have to have it. Most people get it when they have contracts. When you're going to enter into any type of contract, they require it. So you have different arms of commercial insurance, and then life insurance. And I will point out to everybody that September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So I don't watch a lot of TV, but if you've been watching TV or commercials or radio, what I listen to, you do hear ads. But it is Life Insurance Awareness Month, the month of September.
So if one doesn't currently have life insurance, are you saying now is the time?
Yeah, so life insurance never really goes on sale. No such thing as a sale. Life insurance is always based on your age, your sex, and your health status. Okay, so those are the three factors. Everybody's going to be looked at the same: your age, your gender, and your health status. So there's no sale going on per se, but it is Life Insurance Awareness Month. So you have a lot of commercials, you have a lot of information out, a lot of people willing to talk about it. Now, I will say, as far as our company, since COVID has started, they have reduced the amount of requirements needed to buy a life insurance policy. Normally, we're required to see all customers face to face. Depending on the policy type, you are required to have a health exam. They have waived that with our company. There's certain policy types where you don't necessarily have to have a physical. You can opt to have one. You can opt to not have one. So with COVID, we have reduced our underwriting a little bit.
Is there a pricing difference today for exam versus no exam?
With us, yes. So with no exam, we will offer you a standard rating. Okay, so just standard, not a surcharge rating because you've already got an illness or you've had a past history of something. But they will offer you just a standard rating or a smoker rating. If you are a smoker, you will get charged a smoker rating or nicotine use. If you choose to take the exam, if you want to go ahead and take the exam, then they will offer you discounted rates. So if you want to go ahead and do the free physical that they offer with the insurance company, you can receive discounted insurance rates if you qualify, and you get a free health exam.
Is that a significant pricing model difference? It
can be. Depends on your age, the policy type, and the dollar amount. For the younger people, I just had one approved yesterday. For younger people on a term life insurance policy, probably not that big of a difference. I think this young lady she was in her 20s. So the difference between her best rating and the standard rating was minimal, maybe $10 a month difference. I mean, it was maybe $15. So for her, no, it was not that much. But as you get older and the rates increase, it is a significant difference.
Think that holds true for somebody in their 30s?
30s, you're still pretty good.
40s?
40s, you're going to start to feel it a little bit.
Feel it a little bit, okay.
Yeah, you're going to start to see it.
And of course, 50s and 60s.
50s and 60s, yeah. 50s, okay. 60s, that's when we have hard conversations.
You better go in and get that physical.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can stay within the framework of those four with auto insurance. Something I heard a couple years ago, and one thing people will tell you who've been interviewed by me, they'll say, Long, you asked a tough question. So I just want to give you that disclaimer. I know we didn't talk about that before we came on, but is there a such thing as full coverage when it comes to auto insurance?
Okay, so this is a great question. This full coverage myth or misconception. Full coverage on auto insurance only means that you have liability, comprehensive, and collision coverage. Okay. Comprehensive coverage, liability is what you have to get your driver's or to get your license plates. That means liability is going to cover anybody you injure. Okay. You have an accident, you hit me, your insurance company is going to pay me my injuries out of your liability. Okay. It has nothing to do with you and your car or your damages.
Okay.
So that's liability. Full coverage includes comp and collision. Okay. Comprehensive coverage is when your car is stolen or it catches on fire or a tree falls on it. Comp coverage is typically stuff that happens to your car when it's not moving, unless it collides with an animal. If you have an accident, you hit a deer, that actually goes under comprehensive coverage. But everything else is typically when your car is not moving, that is comprehensive coverage. Okay, so that's the first part of full coverage. The second part of full coverage is collision, which the definition is collision. You collide. So whether you collide with a moving object, a stationary object, whether you don't collide with anything, you run off the road, flip your car over, you hit a person. You hit a person, not an animal. Those are collision coverages, okay? So depending on what happens in your claim and you have full coverage, comp and collision, they're going to put it under one of those portions of your policy. What does not automatically come with full coverage is rental car reimbursement. This is where people get upset. You don't get automatic rental car and you don't get emergency road service. People kind of always assume that those are included. Now, if your car is in an accident, we will tow your car from the scene of the accident. That tow will be included, okay? So if you're in an accident, your car is not drivable at the scene, your insurance company under the collision will cover that tow with that accident. And you also will get not free rental car, but rental car is also included with a theft of a vehicle. So whether you have purchased the rental car coverage or not on your policy as an additional coverage, you will get rental car if you have a car theft. That comes with the car theft coverage. But otherwise, if you don't have emergency road service coverage or you don't have rental car coverage, you don't have one of those two types of claims, you're going to have to pay for a rental car out of pocket. That is extra. It does not automatically come with full coverage.
Okay. What about the anybody who's ever stayed home in the morning and you see 100,000 different commercials for those that watch TV, pain and suffering, where does that fall in a auto policy?
So there's different places. The liability, again, my liability covers somebody else's injuries. So I will reverse it. I hit you now. Your medical damages, injuries, your pain and suffering, all of that's going to come out of my liability coverage on my policy. You also have something called medical payments. So medical pay is something I would carry on my own policy that covers me or people in my household that get injured.
I remember, I know because you talked to 1,000, you and I talked about that for over an hour on medical payments and medical. Just talk a little bit more about that. Medical payments and this is a big one. And I want to, if you don't mind, can I put a dime in the meter right here? I'm not going to put a whole quarter in the meter. Why do you say you cover it for your house? What's the big deal with the whole medical payments?
Well, you asked me about the four major types of insurance. I didn't mention health. We used to sell health insurance. We used to sell individual health insurance policies with our company. Lots of companies used to. When ACA, Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare came around, most personal lines insurance companies got out of health insurance, okay? So now you have varying degrees of people that even have it and do not have it. Medical insurance or MedPay, and it's called different things in different states, but in Georgia it's called MedPay. MedPay here will cover your own injuries. Again, if you don't have insurance, it will cover your injuries if you're involved in an accident. And the other thing is it moves with you. So people don't realize that as well. I have MedPay on my policy right now. I have 10,000 MedPay. If I'm riding in somebody else's car as a guest passenger, they have an accident. not only is their liability responsible for my injuries because I'm in their car, they had the accident, they're liable. I can get liability payments off of their insurance. I can also get MedPay off of my insurance. So it's just stacking coverages. The insurance that pays, your primary insurance is always the insurance company that pays. So if it's a car accident, your auto insurance needs to pay everything first before it may roll over to your personal health insurance policy. Mm-hmm. And when you go to the doctors and the hospitals, a lot of times they'll ask you those questions. Your auto should pay first until you exhaust those limits. And then after that, your regular health insurance company will become a secondary company. So you would go to your MedPay first. Then I would go to the person's car I was riding in second, get coverage from their liability. If that's not enough, then I go to my healthcare provider and they pick up the rest.
Kai, so I knew when I asked this question, all my lawyer buddies would start sending thumbs up. When you said MedPay goes with, I got about 6 of my lawyer buddies that just start sending the heart buttons because lawyers love to hear insurance agents sell MedPay because they realize these are the dollars that are easily
accessible,
recovered when an accident happens. And accidents happen because what the old folks say, accidents happen, right?
Yeah. So, and they're right. With MedPay, it's not a big fight. It's not a lot of proof required to prove you were injured. Liability can get tricky, can get sticky. Mm-hmm. You can contest it, then you can go to court, people sue each other. So liability can get caught up in legal suits.
Sure.
Sometimes you have to prove it. There's fraud. But with MedPay, if you were in the accident and you were injured, they pay the MedPay right away. Those checks go out pretty quickly. So they're very easy payments to receive.
So fair to say everybody should have MedPay if they possibly can?
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it.
And it's not expensive, but in today's environment, people are not working. People have had their incomes cut back. So if you can afford it, it is something worth having.
I'm hoping those that are watching us here on Facebook and those that are watching on YouTube, and perhaps you are just joining us, and I want you to know that tonight we're discussing insurance, and you're on with Miss Kai Wilson. We've only scratched the surface talking about this medical payments with car insurance and how this is something that we really feel that most individuals should at least look into. Once you get past your comprehension, once you get past your collision, once you get past the liability piece, if it is that you can get all of these involved, then perhaps you have built a pretty good auto policy. Is there anything we're leaving out on this?
So you have uninsured and underinsured motorists.
Okay, talk to us about that. What's that exactly?
Uninsured and underinsured motorists, you're hit. I've had this claim myself. I had a brand new car. It was 30 days old. I got hit by a person who had no insurance.
Somebody hit you that had no insurance.
My car was 30 days old to the day. I didn't even have 1,000 miles. Drinking and driving, hit me, caused the accident, and no insurance.
No insurance.
So, no insurance at all. Now, in this scenario, you can have double coverage. If you have comp and collision, that's going to cover your car regardless of of how the accident happens. You can always file your comp and collision. But here's a nice caveat that we should talk about. Whenever you call your insurance company, the claims department, it's going to open a claim on your record. So just like your credit report, insurance companies have a database that we use, and it's got every claim, every phone call you've ever made to any insurance company to call in a claim. Okay, it permanently goes on your record. Whether you complete the claim process, whether you just call and ask questions and hang up, whether the adjuster calls you, say, I changed my mind, I don't want to file the claim, it's going to be on your history. I'm saying this because when you file things under comp and collision, it shows more like a chargeable claim, whereas when another company sees it on your record, you may pay increased premium because of that claim history on your record.
Mm-hmm.
When you have an accident and you had uninsured and underinsured motorists, I had on my accident, I'm easily able to prove that, I think this is my daughter coming home. I'm easily able to prove that I
It was of
had
no
an
fault of your
accident,
own.
no fault of my own. Police report, police came out. I filed a claim under my uninsured motorist. It's a different type of line item that's going to show up on my claims history.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I go to move to another company, it's automatically not going to be chargeable on my next rates.
Mm.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick second. My daughter's at the door. Hold
Sure.
on.
Don't worry. Listen, friends, tonight I pray that you are just receiving this information that is being a benefit to you. The reason why I brought Miss Kai on was to just talk to us about making sure that we understand our policies and make sure that we are attentive to them, because so many times we don't know. And Kai's back with us. Kai, I'm just amazed that most times we'll just, because this is what we've heard maybe from our parents, just get full coverage. Or if my money isn't where it needs to be, I'm just gonna go get some liability, right? And
Right.
most times we order our car insurance based off of these two dynamics. Either I get this full coverage or liability. And you're telling me that there's so much more to this picture than just those two small dynamics.
Right. And you don't want to find out about it when you have an accident.
All right, let me pull the keys out of the ignition. Let me walk in the house real quick.
Okay.
Let's talk about homeowners insurance. Or
All right.
renters insurance. You said earlier, if I have a mortgage, if I'm getting ready to buy a house, can I have it or not have it?
You will have to have it because you don't actually own that house. If you have a mortgage, the bank owns the home. They're holding the deed to the house until you pay them all of their money. They're going to send you the deed, and then you actually own the house. So while you are, on payments, basically on the payment plan, the bank owns the house. So they want to make sure that their collateral is covered. If there's a fire in the house, a storm comes through, takes off the roof, whatever damage may happen, the bank wants to make sure that the house is going to be repaired, because if they have to take the house back from you for any unknown, unsuspected reason, they want to be able to resell their collateral.
We got to go back real quick. We just got a question here on Facebook. How much medical coverage should a person have? She says, my sister was in an accident. Her med bill was $80,000. Responsible party only had $50,000 for medical.
Okay, so every company different. I'll tell you now, my company does 3 different levels. We have, and it used to be much higher, but on our newer policies, we sell a $2,000, a $5,000, or a $10,000. Okay, so the maximum you can buy MedPay with American Family is $10,000. But in the scenario that she is speaking of, the other party's insurance only had $50,000 of liability to cover her sister's injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Uninsured and underinsured motorist, she could have gotten, or I don't know if she had it, but the underinsured motorist again could cover her medical payments. They could have picked up the gap because the other person was underinsured. They did not have enough insurance to cover her. So the order would have been the other party's liability would have paid first, should have paid first. They are at fault. Second would have been her MedPay. So if she had MedPay on her policy, that would have paid second. If it did not cover it, then her underinsured motorist medical liability, or her underinsured liability, should have covered.
Okay,
if
great.
She had it.
Great. Hopefully that answered your question. If that did not, then as you're watching, please follow Miss Wilson at KYE_LYNN. Send her a message, and I'm sure, Kai, you'll be more than happy to address any concerns. But I want to move on, as you were talking about homeowners insurance. So I have to have it if I have a mortgage on the house.
Yes.
But if I don't have a mortgage on the house, do I still have to have it?
No, you're not required to.
Okay, let me ask you this if you don't mind. Just another question. Is the pricing model different with mortgage, without mortgage?
No. The pricing model is not different. The bank will force you to have certain coverages though. So, and again, it varies a lot with every bank. Every mortgage has a different stipulation. Some banks only want to see insurance up to the loan amount. Okay. So I bought the house for $200,000. I put $40,000 down. So I'm financing $160,000. Some banks, for whatever reason, they only want to see insurance for at least $160,000 because they can correlate that to your loan balance.
Okay.
Doesn't honestly make any sense because I'm going to talk a little further. Doesn't make any sense, but that's what they'll request. A lot of banks have gotten smarter, and now they'll actually ask us as insurance agents to send over verification that the policy is guaranteed replacement cost, which is what you want. Guarantee. This is homeowners market. You know, we're economy is going down right now. The real estate is actually still doing pretty well, but I suspect it's going to come down here. So market value fluctuates. Loan amount fluctuates. I mean, I financed $160,000. In 5 years, I maybe only owe $130,000. The cost to rebuild and repair my house has not gone down to $130,000. I still have the same size home. So the loan value does not always correlate to the insurance value or the rebuild cost. Okay. So mortgage companies, most mortgage companies now will ask that we verify that it is a replacement cost policy. So they want to make sure that if that house burned to the ground, 50% damage or whatever type of damage, we are going to rebuild it to what it looked like prior to the injury of the home.
Okay. Question just came in. What is a tornado covered under as it relates to homeowners insurance?
Really windstorm and hail. We kind of put a windstorm and hail together, and windstorm and hail basically is tornado. You'll get all three of those in a tornado.
Okay.
And that's pretty standard. You don't really have to buy extra for tornado coverage. That's basic included in homeowners.
Are there any extra coverages that persons may want to consider for homes? I guess I'll say the big three. There's really a kind of big four, but the big three used to be earthquake. Earthquake is not included. That's extra. Flood insurance is not automatically included. That is extra. Earthquake, flood. I have just slipped my mind on the third one. Earthquake, flood, and something. But also I'll say now what's become more common, or sewer backup. That's sewer backup and septic tank backup. So those are not included as well. And we see a lot of that. But also you have a question? Boy, those are some big ones.
Earthquake, flood, sewer, and septic backup.
So if your house is on a septic tank and it will cost, I've had friends say that it costs $8,000 and $9,000 when those septic companies come to clean out the septic tank, $9,000 or $10,000. That's generally not covered in a standard.
Okay, so it gets a little gray here again. Depends on the company you're with and the policy type you're with. Sometimes septic tanks in particular, sometimes they're covered on your basic policy. You need to talk to your agent about this one because it's a gray area. Sometimes septic is covered only because septic is actually a part of your plumbing system of your house. Okay. It's not attached to the city. It's not attached to your neighbor. It is an actual structural part of your house. So some insurance companies will automatically cover septic tank because it's part of your plumbing system. Again, it's gray too. Sometimes they'll cover the structural damage of it, but not the collateral damage. So the backup inside the house, if the toilet's backed up or the tub backed up. So that one you really have to discuss with your agent on your specific policies. And homeowners policies have had a lot of changes over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. So you got to know specifically yours. But I can tell you for sure, sewer backup is not automatically covered. If your house is connected to city sewer, you need to have sewer backup. And in my opinion, I mean, it's all kind of disgusting. But in my opinion, I don't want my neighbor's sewage backing up into my house. It's one thing to have your own septic, which is disgusting. But when you have sewer backup, you're getting your entire neighborhood's stuff into your home. So, yeah, and you don't have that much control over it, especially when it's city sewer.
And that's a common occurrence?
Depends on where you're at. It actually depends on where you're at. It's that has a lot to do with elevation. Mm-hmm. The lower you are, the more likely you're going to be to get a backup because you're lower or beneath what's it called, beneath ground level. Mm-hmm. Depends on if you're close to a body of water, because flash flooding and things like that will back up the city sewer system. Garbage. You see, when the plastic bags and the tree limbs and things go down, that stops up the system, the drainage system. So a lot of these things are out of your control.
Yeah. Wow. And the flood. Now that, to me, that's a little more common than, in my ignorance, I just say that's a little more common. God forbid we get torrential rains, 6-7 inches over the next couple of days, and basement floods. Front level floods.
So I did a little survey this year of the claims, all the property claims that have come through my agency, and all the claims I've helped with friends and family just this year. 100% of them were water-based claims. Every single homeowner's claim that I have worked with in my own agency and my friends and family who were not insured with me but just needed help with their process, they were all a type of water. So water by far is the largest claim, and there's so many types. You have pipes bursting, you have flood. Now when you say flood, we're meaning a flood of water that comes from a natural source outside of your home into your home. So FEMA, like the FEMA flood, that is a backup of water from a river source, flooding outside, an ocean, whatever. But then you have flooding from pipes bursting. We had a washer machine this year that malfunctioned. The drum broke. It flooded. Pipes in the walls. Water damage from roofs. Roof is bad. Now the water is leaking through. I had a friend who lived in an apartment complex. The sprinklers broke in her apartment. She was on the bottom floor, busting on the top floor. It ruined all 3 apartments that went down. So every claim I've had this year that I've helped with has been a form of water. So that's your most common one.
So definitely on the homeowner side, can a person add flood to a renter's policy?
You can. Flood can be added to homeowners or renters. And adding it to renters is really cheap because you're only covering your contents. On a renter's insurance, there's no structure. You're not responsible for any of the structure. So on renters,
if my clothes are ruined, if my electronics are ruined, I'm only covering that basically if I'm renting.
Exactly.
Okay.
And depending on where you live, I had somebody who had flood damage in an apartment. She was low. There was a lot of hills in the apartment. She was on the garden level by the water, and there was flood damage.
Wow. All right, so and I'm glad we're just rattling these off, and as questions are coming in, we are getting these, and I want to get to the last, come out the house, or if you don't mind, can I go down the hall to that little area that I do my home-based business out of? I'm a small business owner. We've got a lot of small business owners that watch us, a lot of entrepreneurs that kick-starting businesses, and so question always comes up. I have a home-based business. Do I need insurance? Home-based business. Do I need insurance?
Lots of factors, lots of variables with commercial insurance. It really depends on what you do. The business type makes all the difference in the world. Um, your the property that the business owns, that makes a big difference. There's certain home office businesses that you can easily endorse on your homeowner's policy. You can just buy an endorsement, it will be covered. But there's limitations. Know that when you do the endorsement on a business from your home, it's not a comprehensive business policy.
Okay.
It's just a small incidental policy for just minor things that happen. Almost any business type, I would recommend you get a complete business owner's package policy, which is going to include a lot of stuff in it, or a general liability policy.
Okay.
Again, are the people coming to your house? Are you selling something, or are you just providing a service? There's all these variables to that, but if it's just a really small incidental, having a home-based business policy would be okay. But
okay. But if just friend of mine today just purchased 2 wonderful trucks, getting into logistics now. Boy, happy as can get out. Been trying to get his hands on these trucks, and now he's got them, and now he's getting bids, and he's getting ready to hit the road. And asked me today, Long, who should I call for insurance? First of all, I was like, talk to me real quick. Why do you need insurance? And so he told me to ask you tonight, why do I need insurance for my logistics business?
Yeah, that trucking one is a big one. Some businesses have a propensity of big injuries, and trucks and trucking would be one of them.
Okay.
So they're out on the road, long hours. There's a lot of transportation laws, to help protect people. But trucks have the capacity to do a lot of damage. So truckers definitely want to have adequate insurance. Again, I don't know what type of trucking. I used to work in buying. Actually, I used to be an assistant buyer with Nordstrom. And again, with trucking, I dealt with this in that office. Mm-hmm. If he's delivering stuff, when does the company take ownership of the merchandise? So you have all these. Do you take ownership when the truck picks it up? Do you take ownership when it gets dropped off at the site? Blah, blah, blah. All that is a different type of insurance. So we're not even just talking about with trucking. We're not just talking about on the road hauling. You're talking about the property that you're hauling. Who owns it? Who's covering it? How is it insured? You have, flammables that are being insured. I mean, there's just so many variables that you have to look at. If you have if you have any business, you need to sit down and have a one-on-one with an insurance agent.
Question just came in. Does an HOA have to have insurance?
Yes, HOA should have insurance. HOA is a homeowners association. My office is in a condo association. Same thing. We have communal areas that we all pay into. Our HOA
community common areas.
Common areas. Okay. Yes. That we all pay in as homeowners to maintain and to use. If something happens on that area, who's going to pay for it? Because I don't necessarily want my personal policy to pay for the neighbor's kid who fell off the swing set at the park. So you're going to have those policies that are going to cover things like that. And the big one usually are the swimming pools.
Swimming pools, yeah.
I mean, that's the largest liability at HOA is usually the swimming pool. But then you have other injuries that happen in community centers or the common centers and sidewalks and landscaping.
Okay.
And then it covers officers too, officers and directors. So that's another big one with HOAs, because the officer and directors are acting on behalf of the entire community. If they make an error, or, there's lots of things that can happen, but there's also an endorsement that will cover them specifically, so they're not personally liable.
Okay. All right. We're getting a flood of questions that are coming in, and I just want to say, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, going to give you another few minutes just to pose your questions to us. Again, if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, tonight we're privileged to have Miss Kai Wilson, and you can follow her at KYE_LYNN. Ask your questions. She'll give you great information, as she's been doing for the last hour, just answering every question that we fire off. If you've noticed, she only got up one time to handle an emergency. She said, Daunta Long, you can go on all night if you want to. So I'm thankful that you, again, because you've been doing this, you said November will be what, 20 years?
20 years.
You're not a novice.
No, not anymore.
Seen it all, or just about seen the biggest picture, right?
I keep feeling like I've seen it all, but let me be quiet. My phone will ring Friday and it'll be something new.
Question just came in. What is the difference between general and professional liability insurance? Again, the difference between general and professional liability insurance for my business.
So general liability would cover things such as slip and falls on your business property. General liability is just general damages, basically. Professional liability means you are of a specific profession and you did something outside of the norm or outside of the law where it hurt somebody. So the best way to think of it is what do doctors get? What is their insurance called when they injure people?
Malpractice.
So malpractice would be a type of professional insurance, okay? Malpractice is going to cover the doctor when he actually does something to a patient that injures the patient, where his general liability insurance is going to cover things that happen in his office. A light fixture fell on a person in the waiting room and it injured a person. That is general liability on his commercial insurance. He injures somebody, that's malpractice. That falls under his professional insurance, okay? Same thing with like an accountant, tax advisor. They do something to personally hurt you on your taxes or your accounting. They make an error that costs you money or you have to go to court. That's professional. Small damages and things that happen in and around the business, that's a general liability.
Man, Kai, because everybody now is doing taxes, right?
Yes.
So somebody's prone to make an error.
Yes.
And when they make an error, am I just out of luck?
Well, depends on what your policy covers. You could be, sure. Most of them don't get to that point. I've maybe seen one professional liability claim come through. Most of them are able to be settled or resolved, but you do have them happen. And when they happen, sometimes they're in the news.
Yeah.
Typically what you'll see in the news.
Sure. Okay. Got another question for you. And this one, I'm sure you get this 1,000 times. Why do I need Kai Wilson? Can I just do this myself?
You can. I could. I've been working in this industry for a long time. If you had an extensive claim experience, you may be able to do it yourself because now you've been through the claims experience, you know what you're looking for. So as much as I think you should get professional advice, you can just talk to somebody to get professional advice. You don't even have, people call me all the time. They don't buy insurance with me, but I'm happy to walk people through coverages and explain things to people. You don't have to write insurance with me.
Sure.
If you're willing to read through a policy, the brochure and things like that, you could do it yourself if you're comfortable. Okay. It's not impossible, but we live in a society that doesn't typically like to read right now. I'm one that reads. I read fine. I am the reader, okay? Not just I read everything. I read the fine print. I read the front and the back, and I'll get back to you with my answer tomorrow. So for me, on a lot of things, I'm comfortable reading through it myself, and then I'll go back to the professional and ask a couple of questions when I've highlighted what I did not understand. But insurance has kind of become a commodity. People do want to do it quick, fast, and easy. So you can buy them on the internet. You can. And if you use a reputable company, you typically will get a good package. If you're using a preferred company, you get a pretty good package. It's just those things we talked about. Do you want to add those extra endorsements?
Okay.
So you'll be able to build your policy.
Question just came in from YouTube. Boy, this is a trick question. So if you don't feel like answering it, I understand, because I've seen this one 1,000 times. Term policy or whole life policy? What's the difference, and what should we do?
I give this example all the time on the two differences, okay? Term and whole life. Term is like, we were just talking about properties. Term is like renting an apartment, okay? When you rent an apartment, you sign a lease contract. The lease says you can live here for 1 year, 2 year, 5 years at this rate per month, okay? As long as you pay the payment, you can live in the apartment. You get the keys, you have access to it, and it's a stable coverage, okay? You can live here. That's term insurance, okay? Term insurance, you're buying a term. Just like you're renting an apartment, you are committing to a term of time. And it's going to be a set price. It's going to be a predetermined price for that term of time. Mm-hmm. Whole life insurance is like buying the house. It's going to cost you more, okay? Whole life is more expensive. But like buying a house, as long as you make the payment, you adhere to the terms, you keep that, you can stay in that home forever. Whole life insurance, you can keep that policy forever. Okay, so that's the big difference. Term, you're buying a term of time. You're signing a contract for a specific term of time. Whole life, you're paying a little bit more, but it's going to last you until you demise.
Until the cow finally comes home.
Until the cow, yep. Now, it costs a little bit more, and the other difference is with term insurance, unless you're doing a return of premium term, at the end of the term, the policy goes away, just like in an apartment. End of your lease, you move all your stuff out, you go away, you have no equity in the apartment. You don't get to say who's going to move into it after you. You have no say. The term ends, you move out, it's over. The promise is over, the contract has ended. Whole life insurance, you're there for a lifetime. The coverage is there for a lifetime. It gains cash value as well. So just like your home would gain equity, a whole life insurance will gain cash value.
What do you mean by gain cash value? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so there's different ways. You have dividends. You have also universal policies. They all kind of work different depending on what type of permanent life insurance you have. But on all of them, you're going to gain a cash value. They're going to take some of the premiums that you've been paying, and they're going to invest it. If it's just a typical policy, it's not an aggressive investment. So you can't compare it to, I had a long conversation on somebody's post. They said it was a waste of money. Don't invest in life insurance. I had to come in and I had to tell them, typical basic life insurance is not an investment tool. That's not the purpose of it. You can't compare the interest rates you're going to get on a whole life policy or even a basic UL policy with a stock or a bond or anything else. You shouldn't compare them, but they do get cash value. So they're going to take some of the premium that you've had, they're going to invest it, and it's going to be if it's a standard whole life policy, you're going to see what the promised rate is in the policy if you read it. They're going to tell you what the minimum guaranteed interest rate is that they're going to pay on that policy. You could also earn higher rates if the insurance company is earning higher rates and they want to pay higher rates to you. But you're always going to earn a minimum guaranteed interest rate. As you pay it, as the years go on, the interest rate, your cash value is going to increase.
So that 20-year-old that you talked about earlier, if they keep it 20, 30, 40 years, should it build up a pretty decent cash?
Absolutely. Now, the more you're paying into it, the more cash you're going to build. So if you wrote the policy for the youth when they were 5, the payment is going to be relatively low. So it's going to seem like it's going to build slowly, but it's going to start compounding. So it's going to be kind of a slow, gradual build because you're not paying a lot in. But again, by the time they get to 20 or 30 and they've had the policy 15, 25 years, it will be considerable.
So it's in our best interest if we decide to go whole life, the younger the better.
The younger the better.
Question
Even for
just came in. Can you borrow on your whole life insurance policy? Can you borrow?
Yes, you can. It's a very easy borrow as well. No credit checks, no health exams. You do not have to call me and give me the long story about what happened and the house blew up or whatever the story is.
What and who forgot to do this and all of that.
I don't have to hear any of that.
Okay.
You have a policy that has cash value. You call your agent directly, or you can call directly to the home office. They will cut your check the next day. It's no questions asked. They cut your check. Most of the time, they mail it directly to the client. Most of the time, the client wants it mailed directly to them. Sometimes they'll mail it to the agent if they want the agent to receive it. And now in these more recent days, I believe they can even direct deposit it. For a long time, we would not direct deposit it. It had to be a paper check mail. But I believe now they can even direct deposit it into account. But there's no questions asked. It's your money. It's your policy. You've been paying the premium. You need it for whatever reason. It does not matter. You call me, you call your agent, or you call the company. They'll tell you how much you've got, and they'll cut the check.
Wow. Listen, we've been going for over an hour. These questions keep coming in. We could be here all night. Kai, I know you got a lot to do. You got a family. Will you do me a favor and promise you'll come back?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, listen, thank you. And listen, all of you that are still sending in your questions, please, you can reach Kai at KYE_LYNN. Send her your questions. As she said, she talks to you. She's not the kind of person that she's going to charge you by the minute, but by the same token, please respect her time. Don't talk her head off if you don't plan on buying any product from her.
It's okay.
But Kai, thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Again, I promise we're going to bring you back real soon because so many questions tonight. I know many are going to watch the replay and so many are going to ask many more questions. You have been a river of information tonight.
Thank you.
I sincerely, and I mean this, I sincerely appreciate you for taking your valuable time to share it with the LongTalk audience.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. I'll try to scroll back through. If I see questions that were not answered, I'll scroll through and I'll try to answer them. But yeah, you guys can email me, text me, call me. And my office number is 770-284-2311. So if you want to call the office, that's fine. If you want to email me, it's fine. Or social media.
Give that number one more time, Kai.
It's 770-284-2311. My office is in McDonough, Georgia, but I'm licensed for the entire state of Georgia. So
wonderful. Again, Kai, thank you so much. Stay with us, and we'll talk a little bit more right after this show.
Okay. Thank you.
Kai, thanks. Friends, what a conversation tonight. What a conversation. What a long talk. This is one for the books. If you've been watching tonight, it is my sincere desire that we covered something that made you write down on the paper, man, I got to get on this in the morning. I got to go back and check, make sure I go over this to see what I have or what I don't have. And I pray that in many of these Long Talks like tonight, it will be meaningful enough to help you upgrade your quality of life. That's our purpose here at Long Talk, to always have meaningful dialogue. So I want you to stay connected. As always, again, follow us here. Like and share here on Facebook, Instagram, follow, Twitter. Make sure you follow YouTube. Help us get to that 100 subscribers by going there right now, going to YouTube and subscribing there at Daunta Long. So that you can stay actively engaged. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay connected. Before we go, I want to make sure that you are reminded I'm going to be as aggressive about this as I possibly can. I need you to get out, and I need you to make sure that you actively engage all of your family and friends, co-workers, neighbors, and the like, in getting those who are not currently registered to vote make sure you assist them and help them doing so. All right, do that. There's going to be a big day and a big drive for that on next Tuesday, the 22nd. And then we're only just a couple weeks away from that voter registration deadline, which will take place on Monday the 5th. So we got to hurry up. We must hurry up, Long Talk audience. We can't put this off and wait till the end of the week. We got to work on this now. All right? So let's make sure that we do that. Again, I've enjoyed our dialogue. I appreciate you for taking the time to listen. Join us Thursday night. We're going to have more meaningful dialogue. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I thank each of you again, and I sincerely mean it. I sincerely thank you for watching, commenting, sharing. I'm glad so many of you already are saying in the comments that you enjoyed tonight's conversation. We're going to bring Kai back, and it's going to be just phenomenal, these long talks, as they continue to really help all of us in our daily walk of life. All right? Thank you. See you Thursday night. God bless.
Follow us on Facebook at Daunta A. Long. Follow us on Instagram at Daunta Long. Follow us on YouTube at Daunta A. Long. Thank you for tuning in to Long Talk.